Have you ever been working on a project like decluttering or something else and you just feel like you are getting nowhere? I would try and fail for years, and then I realized there were a couple of really big mistakes that I was making, but there's one huge thing that made all of the difference. We're going to talk about this today. I am going to, look how messy that is. I am going to show you the video of me cleaning this greenhouse as I explain all of this. Ooh, it just started to rain. Okay, now what would happen is I would, like for example with decluttering, is I would just be like, this house is messy. I can't find what I'm looking for. Every time I feel like I tidy up, there's just more piles, there's more this, there's more that. And I lost the cat's medicine once. I couldn't find the property tax form. And I would be like, that's it, I'm decluttering. So then I would fall into research mode. That's right, I would start to research everything I needed to do to declutter, from where to donate things, all the way to what the best boxes were, the most sturdy boxes. I would be like, should I buy some banker boxes to start putting my things in when I'm decluttering? And then I would say like, well, what's the best method to declutter? Who has the best results? I got a great book by Joshua Becker, and I loved it. It was very helpful. But the problem was I got stuck in research mode, which is a form of procrastination. Have you ever done this? So the thing is, yes, I am a nurse. I have a science degree and I'm a science nerd, but research really does not need to take very long. Basically, what I realized is I really only need to spend like a few minutes, just some quick planning, thinking like, like what do I need? What supplies do I need? That's it. Like not the days and days, which then would turn into weeks and weeks, because this is procrastination, and procrastination is a very funny thing. And I heard a quote recently and it was like, the devil doesn't work in destruction. He works in distraction. And I thought that was so true, because this world right now is so distractible. I myself am super distractible. I have ADHD. My family has ADHD, which makes it so much harder for us. But also, I think that it just makes it so that we can very easily say like, oh, I'm just going to check Facebook. Like, what are we checking for? What are we checking for? No. Like, we are just in a form of distraction a lot of the time, and research is a form of distraction. So that was like one of the biggest mistakes I made off the bat. And I actually have a quiz that you can do, which I call like my clutter monster quiz. And it will help you to determine if maybe you are a procrastinator. Like there's procrastination pixie, there's the nostalgia nymph, which I actually think that I maybe fall into more. There's motivation Medusa, because motivation can be such a struggle. Like so many people, they're like, yes, I want to declutter. And then they're like, why am I doing this again? That might be you. And then there's the indecision imp, right? Because some people, they're just like, I just can't decide. So check out that quiz. It is free and it is super eye-opening. And I'll also send you some tips on how to tackle that. Another thing that I would do that I think was huge, like a huge barrier for me, and you let me know if this is you too, but for me, I would slowly pick away at things. Now, I am a person where I can get overwhelmed, and I often will tell people, like when they're decluttering, I'm like, don't make it like your entire weekend of, oh, I'm going to declutter this whole weekend, and then you get really tired and you don't want to declutter anymore. So then what you do is you just fall off the wagon completely and you don't look at it for another 3 to 6 months to a year. And one of the things that I think is so important is that we recognize that decluttering should not be taking us years, really. And I've heard a lot of people say like, well, it took you years to get that clutter, it's going to take that time for it to go away. And that is true. Like, obviously, we're not going to get rid of like decades of clutter overnight. But at the same time, that stuff came in gradually. It wasn't like you took in truckloads every day and now you need to take out truckloads every day to get rid of it. We can be a lot more precise in how we do things and a lot more focused, because this is the key, the one thing that I think helps me to tackle my, can you hear that rain? That helps me to tackle my goals. And that is to treat it like a project. And you may have heard me say this before. Now, for example, as I am cleaning this greenhouse, this video of me cleaning the greenhouse, this was me treating this like a project, treating getting the garden ready for spring as a project, because I could just slowly pick away at it. And maybe that is what works for some people. Maybe some people, they're like, hey, like I'd like to start in, December or January and pick away at it until it's ready to go come April or May. But instead I go like, no, right now my project is getting my garden ready. So I came out and I got my greenhouse ready. Then we worked on like getting the beds ready and the fence and all of that. Oh my gosh, I hope this rain is not too loud for you. Okay, that rain was a little too loud for me. So what does it mean to treat something like a project? And I mean like specifically a goal, a priority, or whatever. Now, first of all, like think about your priorities in life. Like what makes something a priority? For me, I personally, like getting the garden ready was a priority. If I don't have it ready, then it's wasted space, it's wasted money, it's wasted food, all of that. But think about decluttering. I think decluttering is a huge priority for a lot of people because we've already talked about how it is harmful for your mental health because the clutter is distracting. It makes us feel bad about ourselves. It's bad for our physical health because of the psychological aspects that affect our physical health. There's falling hazards. I'm an emergency nurse, and I've dealt with so many people who have fallen, broken their hips, and their life is forever changed. But mainly for me, I think like the number one priority is that like it's just so frustrating to live with mess and piles. I already explained like that was a real struggle for me, and we get used to it and then we don't recognize that, oh my gosh, like this is so bad. Like it's, to me, it's a priority. So if you have identified something as a priority, how is it that you are going to make it happen? How are you going to get your home decluttered as a project? Now, treating it like a project means this is your priority. Like, yes, you still have to feed your kids. You still have to like, take your mom to the doctor or whatever. We still have things to do. But for me, for example, I'm in a book club. Now, during that time, when I was getting my garden ready, I had to miss a couple of meetings because I was like, hey, I'm sorry, right now, as much as the book club is a priority, it's less of a priority than focusing on getting my garden ready. Now, if you were like, hey, I want to get my house decluttered, and you had a book club, or you did needlepoint, or you did like you read every day or whatever, you might say, I'm going to put that on the back burner temporarily because in the long run, taking care of this priority is going to be so good for me. Now, when I decluttered my house, what I did was I made sure that I wasn't focused. I wasn't spending a lot of time. Like say even like I love to garden, but at that time, my priority was getting my home decluttered. Perhaps I would put the garden on the back burner depending on what my priorities were. And that means when you have that extra bit of time, because a lot of us have far more time than we recognize, you put some dedicated time into that. So for me, when I am like working on getting my garden ready, I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend like, I would even just say to myself, like half an hour today going out and doing this, or an hour. And say you were doing a project, even for 3 months, 90 hours to get that. Could I get my garden ready in 90 hours? Yes. The most overgrown garden could be taken care of in 90 hours. If you're decluttering your home, and you wanted to even like say, treat it like a project that would take a year, and you had 1 hour a day to focus on it, that's 365 hours. If you did half an hour, that's 182 and a half hours. Like you can get that done. You treat it like a project. On the weekend, you make sure that you're putting some time into it. Not all of your time, because that to me can create, like I said, that overwhelm, that distaste in our mouth to get this done. And then we quickly, especially if you're a motivation Medusa, we quickly forget oh my gosh, like why am I even doing this in the first place? It's not really that bad. It doesn't really bother me. But no, if it's a project, this is something I'm working on every day. If you were remodeling your bathroom, you would work on that. Like you would make sure that, like that would be a big priority for me if we didn't have our bathroom. And say you were like, okay, like these next few days, we are focused on like getting that tub changed out, right? And you would have, like, you still would make sure that you're feeding your kids. You're still going to make sure that you're getting your water. Like, you're taking care of yourself, but you're getting your project done. And that is the number one thing, I think, is treating things, for me, treating it like a project changed my life. Just recently, I was decluttering in my dining room and my living room. Check out this video here where I show you sort of like a part of my decision-making process. I hope something amazing happens for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.